About the question of incarceration, breaking the revolving door syndrome. And we're talking to the pastor of the Hands of God Christian Church, Pastor KWalker. And of course, Pastor Walker, I think we promised you that we'd give you an opportunity to talk about an earlier ministry that we know that you've been involved in and been quite successful. And I want to try to at least get that in before we talk about your outreach ministry.
Sure. Yeah, I was previously involved with an organization called New Beginnings Organization. It was formed out at the Riverbend Maximum Security Prison. I got involved with that organization, a group of inmates that had a desire, to make a difference within themselves while incarcerated, and of course to branch out on the outside. I served as the president of that organization for a period of time. I eventually resigned from that organization. But it's a great organization, and we got some good things started. And as a matter of fact, there's programs still going on every Saturday out there at the Riverbend Prison. And I'm sure that, they would appreciate any support, that they can get in terms of, what they're doing and trying to help the guys do what they do and getting out and getting into mainstream society and making a difference. Like I said, I got involved with that, and I've since resigned. And right now, that was, through that organization, I got really deeply involved on a much deeper level, and it really just kind of opened up the floodgates of what I'm trying to do now. Because Dr. Haney, a lot of people, when we look at this reincarceration, people going into the system and then staying in the system 5, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 years, and then coming out and going back into the system, and then society automatically wants to think that that individual is a bad person. And that's not the reality of the situation. Sometimes people go back into the system. The biggest reincarceration rate is due to technical violations. People that are on parole and they violate some technical condition of their parole that causes them to go back, lose a job, maybe get one dirty urine screen or something like that, or something of that nature, which would cause them to become reincarcerated. I know a gentleman right now that's incarcerated, been there almost 5 years on just some technicalities. A brother named Maurice Hendricks. And I mean, it's sad that these things have to happen like that, but it does indeed happen. But what society needs to understand now is that there has to be something put in place to help people that are coming out of the system. The Hands of God Recovery Ministry is that ministry that we have designed to be able to assist people when they're coming out of the prison system, people that are on the streets, people that are suffering from drug addiction and the like. Because you find out that when people get out of the prison system, then we expect them to go in the system, be isolated from society, and then return back into society and function as if they've been in society all those 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
What are some of the problems that they create for an individual from your own personal experience?
Well, first of all, it creates a great level of frustration because now you get out, you're not used to, in the prison system, you don't go to the grocery store. So you don't know what the scanners are. You don't experience walking up and down the store and picking from the shelves the things that you need. You don't experience going to restaurants, sitting down and eating, and the waitress coming. So you're introduced to a whole new different world. But people might say, well, this was going on before they went in. But you take a guy that's been in prison, Dr. Haney, for 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, things change from week to week around here. You buy a computer this year, you need to upgrade it in a couple of years from now. And that's just an indication of how things change. You walk out, then you got the job market. First of all, you're an ex-offender. You got drug charges, murder charges, whatever you have, but you're an ex-offender. And nobody wants to have the ex-offender, but the parole officer is saying, get a job, get a job, get a job, or I'll violate you. And then they're out there frustrated, trying to get a job, with this cloud of, this violation cloud hanging over their head. So now I can't find a job. Nobody wants to hire me. I don't have the money to start my own business. So now what do? I know how to be a criminal because that's what I've done all my life, pretty much. So what I do, I revert back to that old behavior, and then I'm reincarcerated again because basically I've thrown up my hand because society is not helping me. And there's so many issues. For example, Dr. Haney, I got out of prison in 1981. The last time I had a criminal conviction was in 1983, and I reminded Mayor Bill Purcell about that a couple of 3 weeks ago because he was the last attorney in the public defender's office that represented me on the charge. And I reminded him, but I got out after serving my time. I got out of the prison system, but I'm not considered as a citizen. I'm pastoring a church. I mean, I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do. I'm trying to reach out and help people, but yet I'm not really considered as a citizen in this country because I have that criminal background. A lot of guys that are in prison, fortunately, I got in that window where you could register to vote while I was in prison, and I've been able to do that. But what about the people now that can't vote?
So they've stopped that the ability for people to register while they're incarcerated now?
Absolutely. See, and it has come in, it has gone out, and if there's a group here in town now that's trying to do some things in terms of getting voting rights restored to people coming out, to ex-offenders. Because, I mean, if I'm out and I'm gainfully employed, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, then I should be able to have a voice. I should not. You take an individual, he's 18 years old, he does a crime, he gets a 2-year sentence, and then he's out. But in essence, he's got a life sentence because now he's branded for the rest of his life. He can't vote. A lot of people won't hire him, and now he's caught up into this web, and now he's like, what do I do? So now the drug gangs become appealing to him. The gangs become appealing because society is saying, we don't want you. Although you paid us, you paid your debt to society, that wasn't good enough for us. We gave you 5 years, you did 5 years, but that's not good enough. We want to track you for the rest of your life. We want to penalize you for the rest of your life. We don't want to hear from you. You don't have a voice in this country. You don't have a voice in any of this. So now you're penalized for the rest of your life. And so you're in a position, what do I do? So we developed some programs that's designed to try to help some people in this situation. So when they come out, to grab them by the hand and say, okay, listen, I know you're facing a world of frustration. I know people don't care, but we're going to try to network with some companies if we can, some temporary services, somebody that's going to be willing to say, hey, we're going to give this guy a chance because he's involved in a program that's really trying to help him get grounded and centered. And he's not just out here. He's not just out here floating around on his own trying to figure it out. Because you take the guy that's been incarcerated, or the woman for that matter, and they're out here and nobody's helping them to maneuver around in society to re-indoctrinate, should I say, themselves into society, then they're lost and they don't know what to do, so they give in to their base nature and start doing those things that they know that they can do well. You know, I knew that when I was a criminal, I was a good criminal. I know I could commit crime very well.
And so what we're saying here, and I guess this is, we've got a couple of minutes before our second commercial break. So what we're saying here is that it's very, very difficult for individuals to get out of the system and go out and find a job, even though many employers might give at least lip service to the fact that they don't have any problems dealing, but it's almost a life sentence, as you indicated. So when we come back, what I want you to do is to talk to the young people, because I think that in order to break the revolving door syndrome, you got to break the fact of young people, of people going to jail in a real sense, because it seems that after, and of course, let's have this second commercial break, after which we'll come back and give you an opportunity to do that. We'll be back with our audience following.
Hi, we're the Kinleys.
We're talking to Pastor Walker.